Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Southern Fried Podcast. Rob, it's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We've got special programming tonight we're excited about. We've been, ever since we started the podcast, one of the things we've been wanting to highlight is the American farmer. And we're excited to be able to do that in a show we're calling Faith in Farming. And I can't think of anything better. We're appreciative of our farmers. We're appreciative of the hard work that goes in and all those stories we hear. And we're not experts, but we sure do. I think about all the way back, all the stuff they did back for farming and some of the shows they put on trying to highlight the plight of the American farmer. It's just gotten worse, really. And the last few years, the rising cost and all that. But we're going to talk to somebody that knows a whole lot more about it than me. I know that. And we're excited about it. We appreciate having him here, Robert. I'll let you do introductions, but we appreciate you watching. Keep following us. We're picking up followers every day, and we're across multiple streams, and we appreciate the listeners so very much.
Oh, yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to bring him right on up here.
Sounds
y'all,
good.
This is a friend of mine, Jason Houtston.
How y'all doing?
Hey,
Good to have you here, Jason. We appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk. Thanks for having me on.
We're happy to have you on. Bubba, I've been looking forward to this for a while. I know y'all been busy planting, and I didn't want to get in the way and bug you and get on your nerve, but I sure have been itching. I have been really looking forward to this.
Well, thankfully, we've gotten everything in the ground, and we've got it up, so now we got to take care of it.
That's it. It don't stop just getting it on the ground, does it?
No, it does not.
Well, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
I'll tell you a little bit. I honestly, when Robert asked me about this, I really didn't know if I was the right person to do it because I do farm. My brother and I farm, and our mother helps us out a little bit. But we both have a full-time job, and we kind of do this on the side. But it's something I've been around for a long time, and of course, my day job goes along with agriculture too. So, just about me, I grew up here in Miller County. I graduated in 1992, so that'll give you an idea of about how old I am. I went off to college at Union College in Barbersville, Kentucky. Played ball up there, and when I came home, I wanted to be a football coach. So I started off in Mitchell County, and I coached 3 years there. And then I moved back home in 2000. And I've been here at Miller County High School ever since then. And since I moved back home, I taught science for I don't know how many years. I coached football. I did 1 year of basketball. I did golf. Eventually, I got into softball when my daughter was playing. And then I think this is going to be my 6th year, 5 years ago, they came to me and said, Jason, I know you farm some on the side, but you like to be our young farmer advisor. We had an opening. And I told them I'd do that, and I'm glad I did. It's been one of the best jobs I've ever had here.
Amen.
And a little bit about the young farmers, what it is, it's Georgia's the adult education. I'm reading off what I copied off the website this morning.
That's fine, dude.
But it's the education component of the Georgia Agriculture Education Program. Basically, what I do is I come and I tell people I got one of the best jobs in the world. I get to come here and I hang out with the kids in the morning. I teach some classes here at the high school. And then about midday, I'm done here. And then I get out and I will go visit the adult farmers in the community. I help them out if I can. And to be honest, I've learned more from them than they ever learned from me. But I get meetings organized, bring people in that can talk to them about topics that they might be interested in and things like that. And but I really have enjoyed it. Like I said, I still like hanging out with kids. And one good thing about that, too, is I get to do some stuff with the FFA, which I'm sure y'all familiar with FFA. Yes. A lot of people are more familiar with that than they are with the young farmers. But I like working with a kid. One of my favorite things to do every year is FFA has we call them CDEs and LDEs. It's a career development event. And I work with kids on a tractor driving contest. And we have the best time. I mean, last year it was great. my CTA director came out there, and Dr. Lovin wanted to see what we was doing, take some pictures. And before I knew it, they had her on the tractor, and they were telling her how to drive the course, and telling her, remember, you got to do this and you got to do that. And she had the best time, and I did too. And I really still love being around the kids. But like I said, when I get out in the community with these adults, they're either people I grew up with, or they're good friends of my dad's. They're people. Some of them helped raise me, and then I've got a few of my young farmer members are people that I actually taught. So I really have enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, me and you have known each other since we couldn't even grow whiskers.
Yeah, that's right. We rode the bus together and used to swim in the creek together and do all kinds of stuff like that.
Oh, and you talking about graduating in '92? I graduated in '88. I was in the decade before you.
Oh yeah.
So now you know I am just a little bit older than you.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, your hairline shows it, Robert, that you're just a little bit older.
That's why you got the cap on.
I know.
You didn't have to go there.
Mine's going away too.
I've still got some, but it's a little further back than what it used to be. And at one point, when I first started doing this, it was red. Not anymore.
Yeah, that was the same way. Mine was. Yeah. I got a little bit right here still. It's red, kind of, and white.
They make stuff you can fix that with.
Yeah, but Dave won't share his with me.
No way.
Well, so you've been farming here in Miller County here for quite a while. If you don't mind, what church do you go to?
I go to the church, Methodist church here in Colquitt.
Colquitt Methodist?
It's Colquitt Methodist. We dropped part of the name.
It's what?
Colquitt
Methodist. I think Dave understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I understand. I understand.
Okay. Well, I know you and I went to church over here at New Salem.
That's right. I was about to say, of course, that's been something here. I can't remember when we started going to that is the church that my wife grew up going to.
Right.
And she would come down to visit from North Carolina. And but Robert and I, we grew up going to New Salem, right. You could almost throw a rock and hit it from Robert's house.
Yeah.
And good. I had a great upbringing in that small little country church there.
It's really the heartbeat of the South. I mean, I know that people go to church all over the country, but honestly, I mean, in the South, it's just part of who we are. And people say, well, there's a church on every corner. Well, that's not true, but there is a lot. And those small towns, rural area churches are really, I believe, the ones that's kind of holding our country together with the prayer and things that they're doing. They're just faithful people, generation after generation, and they care. They just really care about people. They care about their country. They care about their faith, and I love hearing stories like that. And we all have great memories of that, and I have the same, just in a different area. But wherever you're at, those people are just, a rock in our nation. They really are, and a lot of those folks are farmers and people that work with their hands and things like that. So it's a legacy that I think the South, it's changed some, sure, but that's true everywhere, I guess. But it's still there, and that's still very powerful in our states in the South, that people go to church, and they're just good citizens, and they care about their neighbor. These are all things we talk about on the podcast. And so it just falls right in line with everything that we mention on here.
When I was growing up on Sundays, there was no choice.
Yeah.
we were going to go.
That's right.
And of course, there was, you're right. It's good. They were all my neighbors. I knew everybody there. And I reckon Robert probably had part of this too. I always had to behave everywhere I went, because everywhere I went, there was somebody from the church. When we'd come to school, our principal was a deacon in the church. So
Amen.
if I got in trouble at school, I knew.
Yeah.
You know how it was, Robert. It wasn't just getting in trouble at school. You got it worse when you got home.
Yeah, and see, I don't know how many times I could be in church there on Sunday, and Mr. David, he was the principal / deacon, would walk by me and he'd go, "Did you have a rough night last night?" "Yes, sir." "You're in the right spot. Sit back."
He was one of the best dudes ever. Mr.
Ever.
David, great human being.
Did he ever paddle you?
Unfortunately, he did get me one time.
I'm going to tell you something. I've been paddled by the best, and he was the best.
They had a way of getting your attention back then. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah. He had that place on his wrist where I guess he got shot, didn't he, in Vietnam?
That was a bullet wound from
The
Vietnam.
bullet wound from Vietnam, and it streamlined his swinging
It
hand.
made it more
It was
aerodynamic.
aerodynamically, and when it made contact, you felt it all the way from your honey to your teeth.
I love it.
Get many, but I did get one. I got one from him. We had a little math teacher. I ain't gonna call her names, but I think that was the scariest one I got. She got me and one of my buddies. She done took us out the hall and whooped us, and we was back in the doggone seat before we even really knew what had happened. But we knew it was
It
bad.
wasn't a redheaded one, was it?
No, it wasn't a redheaded one.
Okay. 'Cause that'd be scary right there. I never saw her paddle nobody.
No, this was we was in middle school when this happened, and
Oh.
and then I think she saw Mama and laughed about it. Hey, I admit I deserved it. I never got one that I didn't deserve. Missed out on a lot of them I should have got.
Amen.
We call this chasing the rabbit. Before we get too far down this rabbit hole, we got to chase the rabbit some. How about telling folks what you grow?
What I grow? Well, I did want to tell you a little bit about this, and I get into one of the ways I got into this is when I was a little bitty kid. My granddaddy he farmed. Of course, now we're talking about in the late 70s, the early 80s. Just about everybody in this area had a small farm. They had I had Mr. Gerald had his little farm, Uncle Wallace had his little farm, and I could step out and look. Big Steve had a farm. I could step out and I could name 7 or 8 people from my front yard now that they farmed this, they farmed that. So and a lot of them did like my granddaddy did. He worked at the building supply store and then he farmed on the side. And of course, my dad helped, so I'd always be out there with him. Granddaddy passed away, and my dad continued to farm. He worked at the building supply store and then farmed on the side. He always had me and my brother to help him out. And then when some old building supply closed, Daddy went ahead and he retired, and then he was just farming. And when he was just farming, I think that was some of the most that he really enjoyed that. And let's see, Daddy passed away. I think it was in 2016. He passed away, and since then, me and my brother trying to keep little Sow Branch Farms LLC going. We get some help from my mother. She makes sure we do what we're supposed to be doing and helps keep the books and things like that. But
Amen.
And that's what I was saying. I'm not one of these that do it full time. I've been around a lot, and I have a lot of friends that do it, and it's a struggle. But as far as what we grow, it's peanuts, corn, and cotton, and that's pretty much what in this area right here. That's pretty much what everybody grows.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, Daddy used to grow soybeans. We got out of that. We're starting to see a little bit of the soybeans come back, but it's mainly peanuts, corn, and cotton. This year, there wasn't quite as much corn planted. The market went south. And I asked one of my guys, way back in the spring, how much corn he's going to plant. So Jason, I don't think I won't plant any. I can't remember how many thousand bushels he said he had in his bin from last year. But so that's just the way it goes. Commodity prices go up and down, and people make decisions off of that. And as far as those three, I think most everybody would agree that peanuts is really our main is breadwinner there.
Yeah.
Is there a particular type of peanut or is it doesn't matter?
Well, right now, the Georgia 06s is the most popular. Okay. They're a runner peanut. They're smaller peanuts. They're not like those big jumbos. You go buy some canned boiled peanuts, or you stop in the gas station and get boiled
Yeah.
peanuts. Those are those big peanuts. These are a little bit smaller, but it's mainly those sixes. There are some other varieties out there. There's TFNBs. There's I can't even remember. I was looking at the list the other day. And my brother and I, we actually we're planting a new variety this year that we've never planted before to come out of Florida. So we're going to see how that goes.
Awesome.
That is cool. I like seeing the different peanuts. I'm gonna get up there and get me some out your field here for
Well, you know where they are,
Yeah.
and that's usually how I know when they're ready to boil. My neighbors let me know,
uh,
and that's
so
fine. I tell them that you can go get some, just don't try to
oh,
get
yeah,
all of them.
I
Yeah.
ain't gonna get all of them. Just not boil me up a batch. Um, the just to kind of give people an idea. We've heard a lot about how fuel cost and fertilizer costs and all these different costs and all these different regulations that have come in over the last few years. How much does that affect you as the farmer?
Oh, it affects us a lot. You and I talked the other day, and one of the things you said you might ask, what's it like now versus 10 years ago? My brother and I were talking about, and he said exactly what I was thinking. He said, "Well, your input cost has gone up, and it's gone up more than the price of commodities have. We're spending more to produce our product, but we're not necessarily getting more back, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I mean, y'all can remember what gas prices were like
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Diesel was going up just like gas. And
Yeah.
when you farm, you run a tractor, you burn a diesel. Sometimes when you're irrigating, you run a diesel. Um, Fertilizer costs have gone up a lot. And what it does, it makes you sit back and think. And sometimes you have to, there might be something necessary that you want to do, but you might have to try to cut back just a little bit to try to, you know.
Right.
My brother and I, we 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 don't shoot, like with the corn. A lot of these people are shooting for 240, 250 bushels an acre or whatever. We try to put in enough to get 200. If we can get 200, we're happy.
Yeah.
And in the good years, we usually end up just a little bit under, we'd be like 195 or whatever. And
Yeah.
we say, okay, that's close enough.
Yeah.
Right. So how many acres are y'all farming now?
Oh, we've got around 240. We just picked up just a little bit more dry land, about 42 acres or so. We put some cotton on.
Wow.
Which then that's what I was saying. That may sound like a lot, but I've got a lot of these people do it full time. They got 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 acres, or even more. And I've got buddies of mine, friends of my young farmer members. They farm land on this side of the county, then they farm land on the other side of the county, and they get spread. I don't see how to do it, spread out as they are, but they make it work.
Yeah.
I guess you kind of just have to find a way to make it work sometimes.
Well, you do, and the thing about being stretched out with land, if you wanting to take on more land, it's hard to come by. It's like my pa-in-law says, that's one thing they're not making any more of, and never will. And if you can come across something, it's all either somebody's farming it or somebody's renting it out, and from time to time, a renter may decide they don't want to keep that particular. And that's why how we were able to pick up a little bit more. One of our neighbors, he was going to plant cotton there, and he decided not to do it this year. So since I could see it from the house, I said, "Yeah, we'll take it on."
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, Bill. Look out the door and see your works out.
That's it's good. That's I walk out my back door every morning, and I've got peanuts right there between mine and my brother's house, and it's fun. Ilsel and I were to my brother's Ilsel, by the way. You hear me refer to Ilsel. We were talking about that today, how much they've grown. They've grown. I got out of them yesterday, and they're actually grown a little bit more than what I thought. And then we got cotton right there next to the house, and it's nice. I love it when it's planted right there at the house, when I can look out the kitchen window and I can see cotton.
Right.
Especially when it's done defoliated and all. I like growing cotton. It's just I just remember I got to figure out how to do it. I got a picture on one of my old phones. Daddy would always have me take a picture of him, standing in his cotton. He wanted.
Well, I can look out my window here and see your cotton too.
We got some out there. It's little. It's not.
Little.
It got planted a little later than what we wanted. We had some problems this year. We got to go and we had tractor breakdown. We had this, that, and the other. Weather was working against everybody. It was a tough spring. A lot of folks got stuff in the ground later than what they wanted to. It's crazy. Everybody was wanting to get ready to plant, and there for a while we couldn't do it because we were getting 4 and 5 inches of rain at a time.
Right.
And by the time it would dry out and you can get in the field and do a little bit, then here comes some
another
more.
4 or 5 inches of rain.
And now the crazy thing is now everybody scrambling, doing all they can to keep crops irrigated because the sun got so hot and it's dry again.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a guy in my church. He doesn't have a huge fields, but he has a really good sized garden. Always shares with the church. He kept waiting for it to dry up, and since he's planted, it's not rained any. Yeah, not seen a drop of rain. Just real quick, and before Robert goes to the next question, I was just thinking when you were talking about you're looking out, you're seeing this. I don't want to throw you a curveball. What is your favorite time? I mean, is it harvest when it's in? What is the favorite time for you as a farmer on the side? What do you you just feel good? It's like you just feel like looking up and thanking God, and it's just something special about it. It has to be
that happens a lot throughout the whole process. I was thinking about that this year. I don't know. We call it breaking land. You take a bottom plow and you turn the dirt over. Most everybody down here does that before you plant your peanuts.
Yeah.
It's a long, drawn out, slow process, but keep my fingers crossed, and if everything goes right and that bottom plow holds and you flip that dirt over, I just love to go by and look at it. It's just, when it's done right, it's pretty.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. When you first start planting, that first day of planting, that ain't the favorite time, because that's usually you got to work all the kinks out. There's something,
yeah.
When the corn starts to toss, and there's a smell to it.
Oh yeah,
like that. When that cotton starts blooming, it's pretty. The peanuts, when you dig those peanuts, the smell. When people start digging peanuts around here, everywhere you go, you smell peanuts. That peanut dirt. That's awesome. I really enjoyed that. But I guess most of us would probably say the best day is that final day of harvest, because by the time you get to the final day of harvest, you are wore out and you are glad you were done.
Amen.
And then if you're lucky, you have another good day when you start getting your checks in. But then again, it ain't never enough. We always wish we had a little more.
But and I just want to say, as a Christian, in the Bible, we see there's so, because harvest is when you look at prophetical things with the nation of Israel and stuff, there's that last feast, that Feast of Tabernacles, and the harvest is in. I mean, there's just this spiritual component that God in this, that he gave us this ability. He gave us the land. He gave us the ability to do it, and he blesses it. It grows, and he sends the rain. He sends the sun, and it's just there's a deep spiritual connection to, and Southern people have this, working with their hands in that dirt, and putting those things in. I appreciate you sharing that, because I can just sense that as you talk about it, and the deep abiding satisfaction of having that but that process. And people that don't do it, they might not think about that smell. I didn't think about that, but yeah, it makes sense.
It's smell. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I might ask though, is there a smell though when you're doing the fertilizing? I have seen some fields up here. They're pretty rank.
That's one thing. We don't do it on our farm, and we might should, because I have a lot of friends that do this. Very popular fertilizer down here in this area is chicken manure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Robert smelled it, because one of our neighbors stages his chicken manure piles close to Robert's house.
And I falsely accused you of doing it.
and now, Dave, when I say they stage, I'm talking it's a mountain of chicken poop. I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably 20, 30 foot high. And then they had to come in with a front end loader and load it on a spreader, and they spread it out in the fields. And it can get pretty bad when that's going on.
Yeah.
It's
But
pretty dry.
I was aggravating my neighbor one time. I was telling him, I said, you dumped that our neighbor over there. He can't stand that smell. He said, I know, Jason. He said, but man, come on, dude. He said, everybody loves chicken, don't they? We're gonna grow chickens. You got to do something with the chicken poop. So I'm just spreading it so I can grow more corn to feed the chickens. It's a circle of life, man. You're right. You're right.
That's right. That's right. That's awesome. Well, I was going to say, Robert, I noticed when you was doing your walks, taking pictures, you took these beautiful pictures of the fields and the landscapes and the sunrise. You never took a picture of the mound of poop. I have to say that. I appreciate it, though.
I can accommodate you there. Just give me a few days and get out and about, and we'll find you a mountain of food.
I'm just kidding.
Hey, we'll talk about your favorite time of year. What is your least favorite time of the year?
Oh, these days, that comes in waves too. Like I said, when you're getting out there, it's like we started planting corn. Something would happen. Just breakdowns. The beat when you're trying to get everything planted and trying to get everything ready, you're running pretty hard. But I guess I don't know. Least favorite time of year. Usually the times I get aggravated the most is when we're trying to irrigate and things aren't going right with that. Had a buddy of mine come over. He's helping me work on the irrigation. We went and cut phase converter off where the power comes to it, and I cut it on. And I said, Trent, that don't sound good. He said, no, it don't. And he said, it probably shouldn't be smoking like that either. So we had to pull that off and send it to get it rebuilt. And it's things like that. And if you ever have and people don't think about this, and folks that aren't around here might not know what I'm talking about, but we've got these circular irrigations, the pivots. And Robert knows too, on our little farm, we still use what we call a tow gun or a traveler. It's a little irrigation that's got a hose and it winds itself up on a cable and it pulls it across the field. That's when I get aggravated most, when I get out there messing with them, because they are notorious for having problems. But even your circular systems, though, that's another thing that'll make you rethink it. You got a field of corn and a gearbox goes out in the middle of it, then you got to get out there in the middle of that corn and fix it before you can move.
Yeah.
And there is no breeze in the cornfield.
No.
Not down in the corn.
That's right.
And of course, you're running that thing because it's 100 degrees. So that's no fun.
Well, I think I hit that nail right on the head. I think I mentioned that to you the other day,
Yeah,
Dave.
you did.
That question I mentioned to Jason. His least favorite day is going to be that 2 a.m. wake up to go out in the muddy field where the traveler's been sitting for an hour or so.
And that's, but that's something, not many people still run those things. I don't know of anybody that irrigates the percentage that we do. I got a lot of friends that still run them on the dry corners and stuff, but I guess me and my brother, we're just hard-headed. We've done it our whole lives. When we was I'd be 10, 11 years old, Daddy'd have me set an alarm clock. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and jump in the truck and drive to the field and make sure it was still moving.
Well, this question, I got one.
And and actually, now saying that, you're talking about another time. That's another time. It's crazy, but you can get out there in the cornfield around midnight, and you're just sitting there listening to that irrigation, just.
Oh yeah.
And that's a feeling that's special too, to me anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I could see that. All right. Well, this question kind of goes hand in hand with that last one. Have you ever thought about quitting?
Robert, I'd like to say that I never have, but yeah, I mean, there's going to be at least one day where you get frustrated. You go, I'm tired of this. But and bless his heart, my brother, he has listened to. I get mad and been out of shape and my rant and rave or whatever, and he's learned that I'm going to do that, and then the next day I'm fine.
Yeah.
Or actually an hour later I'll probably be all right.
Yeah.
I guess it's like that with anything. You got ups and downs, and sometimes you just ain't feeling it. But then when you sit back and think about it, that wasn't that big of a deal. It was just a little minor setback.
Yeah, there's not a pastor alive, I don't believe, that's ever had that thought at least cross his mind sometimes. I should just step down. I should just stop doing this. But it doesn't last long. It's fleeting. We get tired, we get weary, we get frustrated, kind of drained out. But there's a passion about what we do. There's a passion about what you do and all the different things that you're doing. So that's just life. I think we just have moments where we just have to vent it out, and then we're okay. Well, I've done that. Now it's time to go back to work. So,
you got to get back at it.
well, Jason, where do you see yourself with this in a few years? I mean, with the challenge that you have, I mean, it sounds like, y'all got a pretty good handle on it. Y'all been able to adjust and still, make money and do what you do. But, if things keep going the way they are, do you think you'll still be doing this in a few years? Or
I hope so. But it's year by year. I know I have friends here that have gotten out of it. That thought that was something, and they thought it was going to be something they'd do, their whole life. We're just going to see, Lord willing, and you got to have a little faith in it, and hopefully He's going to take care of us, and we'll do good enough. We can keep doing it. I just finished my 27th year in the school system. So here in 2-3 years, I'll be able to retire from education. I'll be able to. I don't know if I will or not, because I like doing what I'm doing. So I might just keep rocking on. But when I finish this part of it, I may just sit back and just do that. I thought maybe we might get some more. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I know I've told this many times when they kicked us out of school for COVID. I was a happy human being. It wasn't because I didn't have to come up here and be around the kids, but we had gotten behind that spring. Yeah. And I'd be laying in bed at night wondering how we was going to get all the land broke and how we was going to get everything prepped for planting. Man, I get up every morning instead of come to school. I get on the tractor. I just stay on the tractor. And then when it got to be about 5 o'clock, I might go home. I ain't got to stay out here until after dark. I can get up and do this again in the morning, It kept me busy, and I was able to get a lot of stuff done,
Yeah, that's awesome.
So over the years, how important has your faith been in relation to keeping up with your farming?
Well, you got the farm, you got to have a lot of faith. And then fortunately, I have a very good mother that reminds me of that quite often. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to get down. But, I was talking with a friend of mine today, you go out and you're about to start your year in the spring, you're going to go out and you spend all this money to get the ground ready. Then you spend all this money to buy your seed, put your fertilizer out, you put it in the ground, and you just got to have faith it's going to come up. And it doesn't always work out like you want it to. Yeah. Like I said, we had a tough spring this year. I had a lot of friends that had to go back and replant peanuts. You put them in the ground, and then the next day you get a 5-inch rain on it, and it packs the ground down hard, or the ground gets too saturated. That peanut seed will actually, that sits there and it's too wet, it can rot in the ground. It's the same way which we planted corn this year. Got the corn up, and we got one of those big rains, and I had parts of the field that was underwater. Cotton's notorious for not coming up like you want it to, but so far, knock on wood, and the Lord's looked after us. And there's lots of times I get in the tractor, I actually say a little prayer. I'll ask dear Lord, Daddy, look over me while I'm out here doing what I'm doing. Keep me safe, help me make good decisions. That's my time where I sit back and think. My dad's gone, I miss him every day, but that's kind of my time to still be when I'm sitting there in his tractor, his John Deere, and he brings back a lot of good memories. Some of them not, but there's a few that ain't. Yeah. It's good. Hopefully he's happy with what I'm doing. I told somebody one time when I was a kid and I got in high school and got ready to getting close to my senior year, it just wasn't one of those things I didn't have a decision about. My daddy told me I was going to go to college, get me a good job, so I didn't have to work 2 jobs like he did. Well, all these years later, here I am doing the same thing. So I hope he's not upset with me. But there was a little while there, like I said, growing up, I helped on a farm, and there was a little while there when I got out, when I worked in Mitchell. Of course, obviously, I couldn't help any. And when I came home, there for a long time, I was teaching. I had administrative duties. I was coaching something all the time. And I didn't help a whole lot, but fortunately, right there, 3 or 4 years before Daddy passed away, I started getting back into it and doing more and more, and spending more time with him. So I was thankful I was able to do that.
Amen.
Well, I'm gonna remind you of something. That person that you was talking about, you asked that question of, that was me. We were standing right out here in this field, right here beside the house.
Is that
You remember?
probably so?
It was. And you
Yeah.
remember what I told you?
Well, no, I can't remember what. My mind doesn't work good. Robert, I got hit in the head too many times growing up.
I told you then that your daddy was looking down, seeing his son taking care of his family and doing what he had to do to make sure that they didn't do without. And your daddy is just as proud as he can be.
Well, I hope so. I tell you what, now, Dave, I was out there messing with that irrigation, that tow gun I was talking about one day, and I get this picture. Robert's done took a picture from his yard, on his phone, and he sends it to me. And I looked at it and said, "I'll be doggone." When I went home, I showed it to my wife, and the first thing she said, "Is that your daddy?" I said, but that's,
Yeah.
that's who she thought it was.
Wow.
Wow. I didn't know that. But yeah. He was talking about his mama. Let me tell you something. I walked down to the church because I just lived up the road from it. You let them road be a little bit muddy. Oh no, they'd be stopping. You get in this car. You're gonna get your shoes messed up. Get in this car. No, I'm almost there, Miss Beth. No, you get in this car. Yes, ma'am. And your daddy be like, don't argue.
Just get in.
Just get in.
Amen.
You could walk to the church from your house back then. There used to be a wooden bridge there, and all the wooden bridges in the county have gone the way of the dodo. But I used to ride my bike down there to where Robert lives now. I'd ride my bike if I used to. If I couldn't get crickets and we had soybeans, I'd go get the caterpillars off the soybeans, and I'd take my little fishing boat and go fish off that bridge.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something. I got me some wigglers, and I'm fixing to go fish that same hole here tomorrow.
Well, maybe you'll catch a little something.
Oh, I didn't see them down there. They're there.
Oh, they'll be there.
Yeah. So, Jason, we're not going to keep you much longer. We really appreciate you being on here with us.
Yes.
Well, thank you for having me. I enjoyed it. This is a first time thing for me, and like I said, I enjoyed it, and I hope we get a lot of people that'll listen to it, and some folks maybe they'll learn a little something or get something out of it. I hope.
Now, look, if anybody has any questions they want to forward to us, you know what? Y'all have let me go this whole time. They
ain't no y'all, because I didn't know I was supposed to tell you something.
I know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't let him get away with that, Jason. He's gonna try to throw off here. That was his job.
There
it is.
There it is. All right, so we had to do this ticker here, but our email is southernfriedpodcast@yahoo.com. Send us the questions, and we'll forward them on to Jason. We'll answer any questions you have. If
I'll do the best I can to answer. And I have figured this out. If I don't know the answer, I know who to ask.
Yes, sir.
And as I said earlier, with being a young farmer advisor, I've learned a lot more from my young farmer members than they have learned from me. And that's one good thing about having friends. But they'll help you out too when you get in a bind.
Yeah. Amen.
I got to put one more thing out there. He was talking about his little brother, Israel. That's his younger brother. You better not be referred to him as your little brother.
I like to tell everybody, I'm standing side by side. I do my little brother. He always gets a kick out of it. But we're both pretty big old boys now. I'm a lot bigger than I need to be.
Well, I'll tell you what, I remember in church, he was always smaller than you way back then.
No, not quite now.
All right. We appreciate you being on here with us. And we
Thank
really
you, Jason.
enjoy it.
Thank y'all.
Don't log off yet. We're going to catch up with you again here in just a second.
Okay.
All right. Hey, and everybody, if y'all get a chance, like and follow. And if you got any questions, send them on to us. All right. Good night. God bless y'all.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.